What's going on, guys? MG Elite Gaming's here. I'm also going by MG Elite Collectibles on TCGPlayer. So I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about some things that are going on right now. I did start my TCGPlayer account roughly about 6-7 months ago. Done about $2,000 in sales. Not too bad, considering everything considered. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know there's a couple of things going on. I just wanted to kind of chat a little bit, give you guys something to think about throughout the week. And one of the main things I wanted to talk about was the struggle, right? There are going to be difficult times. There are going to be difficult moments in life where you're going through things and you're thinking, man, like, what am I doing? And why am I doing this, right? What is the purpose behind this? Why is this a thing for me? Or why is this really like, something that I need to be focused on? Or why am I focusing on this over everything else? So it made me come to realize that the reason why I love doing this kind of thing, why I have this business and why I love doing what I'm doing, is because I love to see growth. I love to see, my business grow, and I love to kind of see making progress, and for my personal, just like my personal well-being, and sometimes it's a hard thing to think about because the growth can be slow sometimes. There are slow seasons, there are quick seasons. I mean, the Pokemon market is still kind of volatile. It's a little crazy. So a lot of people ask me the question of like, well, how did you start? Why did you start? What are you doing to kind of grow your business and things like that? And honestly, I just took a chance, right? So for a long time, I've kind of had the thought process of like, hey, what am I going to need to do to make this right? What am I going to have to do to make this thing work, right? And the only way I could make this work was to start doing it, right? And, I had all these cards. I literally had, boxes and boxes of bulk. I had some EXs. I had some decent, stock in my folders, my binders that I was going through that I didn't really need. I wasn't really collecting those things at the time. It was just kind of like I just had them in my binder and I wanted to get rid of them. So I said, let me just start listing. So I started listing stuff on TCGPlayer, and slowly but surely things started to sell. And I'm like, okay, here it is. So I started getting more. So I started taking the money, started spending a little bit more money here and there, started getting more packs, started opening them, started getting my inventory up a little bit. And as the time went on, I got more and more and more sales. So the more sales I got and the more good feedback I got from my consumer, the better my information, like my sales, like my account has grown. The more my account has grown. And I'm gonna say this is that sometimes it's hard because it's difficult to recognize the right things. It's difficult to recognize that you may have an opinion about something, or you may have an opinion, but it doesn't necessarily make it correct, right? So my opinion was like, okay, I didn't think this was going to be a thing because it's oversaturated. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's selling online. Like, that was my opinion. It wasn't worth it, right? But then I stepped out of that and I said, what? Like, I have my own opinion. Everybody has their own opinion, but I would like to do something different. So I said, what? I'm going to ignore everybody else's opinion and I'm just going to do my thing, right? I'm just going to do my own thing and I'm going to just kind of do whatever I got to do. Well, ignoring the people's opinion actually worked out hugely in my favor, because now, my business is growing. I made about $2,000 in sales off of this business, and I'm hoping by next year that will quadruple so I can, start actually making some money. So I've got a plan going into next year, some things, but just think about it that whatever you want to do in life, whatever your goal is or whatever your aspirations are, you have to take that chance, right? And the Bible tells us that God loves diligence, right? God loves diligent people that work hard, that put in effort and do the things they need to, to do to grow themselves spiritually, mentally, and that are willing to work hard to get somewhere in life, right? God doesn't reward laziness or complacency. So those are just some of the important things you got to think about. And for me personally, like, I love giving back to the community. So I think having a YouTube channel and having just the thought of like me, what hasn't worked for me, just some information, and this is kind of just like an update, like a small update, early update about my journey on TCGPlayer. I do plan on expanding my inventory significantly next year. I'm making some strides to try to get everything straight for that. I'm thinking about maybe getting a small office or a storage area so I can put all of my product in there whenever I need to go and open it, or anything that needs to be stored, anything like that. But I mean, I'm hoping that I also have a place at home where I can store that stuff, so it doesn't really have to be in a storage unit. Second of all, I'm learning that there's value in bulk, right? There's value in bulk. There's some older cards that have a lot of value that are reverse hollows, even in lightly played or moderately played status, because a lot of people just collect it just for the sole fact of completing their collection. They don't care what how it looks, or what state it's in. For them, it's more about completing their collection, so they're willing to pay for a lightly played or moderately played. They don't really care either way, right? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get some insight out there on these kinds of things and let you guys know, man, like it can be tough. Okay, it can be tough in the industry, it can be tough in the field, especially now with the way the Pokemon cards are going and everything is happening. Yeah, it's tough. It can be tough. The third thing I wanted to talk about was just how the market is, and kind of how, like, I don't foresee the Pokemon market slowing down anytime soon. People talk about the crash. People talk about, the market is going to crash eventually. The bubble is going to burst. People are going to lose all of their investment because they're going to be stocked up with all this stock and all this product and not going to be able to get rid of it for anything over MSRP. So it's interesting to see that, and a lot of people are switching to different games, like Lorcana, like Riftbound just came out for League of Legends TCG, which I think is going to blow up. I think it's going to be huge. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be bigger than Lorcana, and I think it's going to be bigger than Magic, and I think eventually it's going to, it may even outpace, Pokemon. I know it's a bold statement, but I think because of the popularity of League of Legends, and in MOBAs in general, I think there's a lot of meat there. There's a lot of substance in that, and then they can kind of go in any direction they want with that, which is great. And they're really popular. Plus, I think graded, those cards are going to be ridiculously expensive. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And then you have to learn to sometimes overcome difficult times. You have to learn to look at everything on the bright, from the positive side versus the negative side. And sometimes it's difficult because we feel like we're not being heard, or we're not being understood, or we're being whatever, and this is for any human being, right? Like, even from a business standpoint or a personal standpoint, like, there's been numerous times when people said, well, this is what you should do with your business, or this is what you should, where you should go with your business, but this is how you need to approach your business. And again, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Maybe I felt like I was being told, hey, you don't know what you're doing. This is what you need to do in order to be successful. Well, I've already kind of had, my success with it starting out. I'm actually doing what I need to do. I've gotten to the point where I've got a system of kind of how I'm doing things, and that system is working, right? So realistically, there are many things that we can do to try to, grow our sales and grow our business, and clearly, those things are like the direct program. There's also the pro seller program. You can have your own store, pro seller store. There's obviously higher fees. There's all those different things. Some people like the multi-platform selling, right? Some people like to sell on eBay. Some people like to sell on TCGPlayer. Really depends. Sometimes you can get more money on eBay than you do on TCGPlayer, but with eBay there's still more fees, there's all this other stuff. So you got to take those things into consideration when you're making a sale, right? So don't let your early results discourage you from doing the things you need to do, because you don't have to advertise. Like, anybody can start a business as long as you understand how to market your product, what you're going to sell, how much you're going to sell, what the product is going to look like, how you're going to pitch that product to the customer, and that's just what it is, right? With trading cards, it's a little bit different because there's already a demand. There's already a high demand for this stuff. Everybody knows what it is. People want to kind of do the things they want to do with it. So, but don't let that business consume you. Also, you have to have a life outside of your business. So whatever that looks like, whether it's spending time with your kids from 4 to 7 or 8 o'clock, and then from 8 to 1 or from 8 to 11, working on your business, putting your orders together, posting cards, whatever it is, that's what you're going to have to do. All right? You're going to have to kind of schedule your life based on the needs of your business and your family life. Ooh, excuse me, guys. Ooh, tired this morning, man. But yeah, those are the things you have to do. So, and also, I started going to the gym. I started to, build better habits, scheduling things, putting stuff on my calendar. I started looking at buying collections at some point. So these are all things that I'm kind of looking into building, like as I'm growing my business. And my goal for next year is to make $60,000 out of my business next year. That's my goal. That's what I'm aspiring to do, 60 grand next year. So, and I know it's an easily doable goal, and I know it's going to happen. I'm going to make $60,000 next year out of this business. I'm going to speak that into existence, and I'm going to speak it because God's already told me that that's going to happen. I'm going to be profitable. I'm going to do everything I got to do to take care of business, and yeah, I mean, I just kind of feel like there's a lot of stuff to unpack. I've been moved for about a year now. Being in a house is a little bit different. There's a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of things that are happening. I'll definitely be posting more information on that. But if you do have a Pokemon collection and you are in Richmond, or you are in Chesterfield or Chester area, anywhere in Virginia within about a 30-mile radius of Richmond, post a comment below in the comment section. Let me know, and if you're willing to get rid of some stuff, let me know what you're willing to get rid of, how much you're willing to get rid of it for. All that information, just post your info in the comments. Say, hey, DM me or whatever. Here's my information. Definitely do that, and then I will reach out to you. Also, if you like this video, please comment, please share it. Sharing and then hitting the thumbs up and the like button, because that helps other people see the video that don't see my content or have never really viewed my content. So that's a great help. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Give me a shout out on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll give you more business talk at a later time. Thank you. See you guys.